The arrival of the Nexus in the WWE in the summer of 2010 was extremely impactful and immediately sent shockwaves throughout the company by making one of the most memorable debuts of all time. However, the way the group was mishandled afterwards ultimately led to their downfall. In this video, I've called upon the reliable WWE booker we know as ChatGPT to rewrite history and come up with a story for the Nexus that would end in a much more positive light for the way they'd be remembered. Using WWE 2K24's Universe mode, we're going to bring to life the vision of this booking scenario, with ChatGPT's twists and sometimes hilarious inaccuracies, like the omission of Skip Sheffield in favor of some other members who weren't introduced right away. Without further ado, let's get started. The first episode of Monday Night Raw in our story puts us right in the middle of a non-title clash between WWE Champion Sheamus and budding contender John Cena. The two engage in a highly physical contest where high-impact moves were traded at will. The unrelenting force of Sheamus seemed to have been tamed by the resilient John Cena and was aiming to defeat the champion after an FU, until mid-match, the lights flicker and a cryptic video plays, showing grainy, disorienting footage of an unknown group making ominous threats about taking what's theirs and toppling the structure of the WWE. This distraction would prove costly for Cena, as it allows Sheamus to land a huge brogue kick and then pin John Cena, leaving everyone wondering who's behind this. Opening up the next week's show, John Cena calls out the group, demanding answers. Common adversary Triple H even joins him in the ring, sharing his own frustrations and promising to deal with whoever is behind these attacks. Suddenly, the Titantron flickers, revealing the message: the Nexus of the WWE has arrived. Soon, all will fall. This eerie message would close out the segment, but later on in the night, during a bout between Triple H and Dolph Ziggler, masked figures appear ringside. Triple H is distracted but manages to win. Post-match, he's ambushed by the assailants who dismantle him with well-coordinated moves before disappearing, leaving the legend laid out in the ring. Later on in the night, backstage footage shows a group of masked individuals attacking Randy Orton, leaving the legend killer unconscious, teasing the legitimacy of this new threat. On the next episode of Raw, more superstars including Kofi Kingston and R-Truth are found beaten down. A later segment features Nexus members removing their masks, revealing Wade Barrett, Daniel Bryan, Justin Gabriel, David Otunga, Heath Slater, Husky Harris, Michael Tarver, and Darren Young. Barrett steps out onto the ramp and declares themselves the Nexus, a collective of talent who refuse to be mistreated or overlooked. Barrett promises to bring WWE's veterans to their knees, establishing Nexus as a dominant, powerful force. On the next episode of Raw, the Nexus group finally makes their in-ring debut on the main roster as Wade Barrett and Justin Gabriel compete together against an unlikely duo of John Cena and Randy Orton. Barrett and Gabriel delivered a strong performance, surprising the fans and establishing themselves as formidable competitors. During the contest, the rest of Nexus interferes, ambushing the match. Randy Orton and John Cena would fight back, but the numbers would be far too overwhelming, leaving Cena and Orton beaten. To open the next week's Raw, Nexus continues their menacing intent as they ambush talents like John Morrison and Santino Marella, sending a message that no one in the WWE is safe. Later in the evening, following a Wade Barrett victory, John Cena rallies some of the locker room to fight back, declaring war on Nexus and resulting in a massive brawl. The main event would be scheduled off of the back of the catastrophe, where Triple H and Daniel Bryan are to go one-on-one in a steel cage match. For the first time, a Nexus member had found himself without the backing of the rest of his crew, as the cage separated the competitors from the spectators. Daniel Bryan would showcase his talent and legitimacy as a competitor as he went toe-to-toe with Triple H. In this match, the cerebral assassin had no intentions of escaping the cage, rather using it to his advantage, keeping his prey within arm's reach. Thanks to the backing of John Cena amongst others, the Nexus was kept at bay and unable to interfere. Triple H was deliberate with his offense, wearing Daniel Bryan down until the game was satisfied and collected the pin after a pedigree. In the final week before SummerSlam, Wade Barrett stands in the ring with Nexus, calling out WWE's hierarchy of legends and established superstars. Video footage is shown that Nexus has attacked retired legend Ric Flair backstage, and in response, John Cena, Chris Jericho, and Triple H emerge, each vowing to end Nexus's reign of terror. This would confirm the plans for a huge SummerSlam showdown, Team WWE versus Team Nexus in a massive tag team match. SummerSlam has arrived and the fate of Monday Night Raw hangs in the balance. The chaotic group known as Nexus has stamped a massive imprint into the brand as they continue to make an impact in the short time they've been around. Although, this wily group of WWE veterans are determined to bring this destructive crew down. Nexus got off to a fast start, but the savvy veterans would gain their footing. The prominence of these WWE superstars was on full display here as John Cena hit a major FU to David Otunga to score the first elimination, and the ball would begin to roll from there. Triple H would hit Justin Gabriel with a gnarly pedigree that would send the high flyer out of the match. The odds had become stacked against the young group, but standouts Daniel Bryan and Wade Barrett showed no hesitation to prove their tenacity and would then eliminate Kofi Kingston and Chris Jericho, thus again evening the numbers. An intense confrontation between the stars of WWE's present and future took place with the crowd roaring at the spectacle. Bryan and Barrett showed tremendous cohesion and were able to remove Triple H from the contest, leaving John Cena all on his own. Daniel Bryan and Cena traded offense for a short time, and it was clear the match had taken its toll on both of these guys. John Cena was eventually able to lock in the STF, which would eventually force Bryan to tap out as Wade Barrett did not attempt to interrupt the submission. This would leave the final two men in the match, John Cena and Nexus leader Wade Barrett, to fight for the spoils of victory for his team. The disdain these two have for one another was apparent to everyone in the arena. However, in the end, Wade Barrett was able to hit his thunderous wasteland slam, keeping John Cena down for the count and giving Nexus a colossal victory at SummerSlam after an absolute battle. The Nexus would celebrate in the ring, with most members praising the efforts of Wade Barrett.
For the exclamation point to Nexus dominance here at SummerSlam.
Later on in the evening, Sheamus would successfully defend his WWE Championship against Randy Orton, as well as send a message that he isn't afraid of anybody or any group that may try to interfere with his title reign. If you're enjoying this content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. Let me know what kind of scenarios you'd like to see rebooked by AI in the comments below. Thanks. Nexus opens the show in the ring, with Wade Barrett declaring that Nexus has only begun its campaign of dominance. Barrett states that the ultimate goal is to make Nexus the face of WWE, with him claiming the WWE Championship as proof. John Cena would interrupt, saying that there are others in front of the line before the Nexus, promising to put them in their place. Additionally, Daniel Bryan would come face to face with the United States Champion, The Miz, someone whom Bryan has a history with. The Miz denounces the actions of the Nexus, stating their actions are low even to his standards. Daniel Bryan would challenge The Miz for the United States Championship, to which The Miz would reluctantly accept. Daniel Bryan and The Miz would then go on to put on an exciting match for the fans with the high stakes of the United States Championship on the line. It had a big fight feel, and most of the Nexus accompanied Bryan to the ring, though the challenger made it clear he wanted to handle this one under his own merit. Nobody expected the battle these two were about to put on, as the grit and determination of both competitors were truly put to the test, with each man pushed to their limits. The pay-per-view quality matchup finally came to head when Daniel Bryan was able to fight through adversity, applying a submission The Miz couldn't escape from, forcing him to relinquish the United States Championship, marking the first championship to belong to the Nexus. In the main event of the evening, potential #1 contenders for the WWE Championship aim to deflate some of the Nexus's momentum, as Randy Orton and John Cena once again find themselves tagging up alongside one another. Husky Harris and Heath Slater step into the square circle against the modern-day legends and intend on weakening any potential contender to allow Wade Barrett to emerge as the rightful challenger. However, Cena and Orton are in fact championship contenders after all, and defeating them is much easier in theory. Cena and Orton are able to put their differences aside for the duration of this match, and with a victory, send a message to Wade Barrett. They're not going to go down easily. In a backstage promo on the next episode of Raw, new United States Champion Daniel Bryan calls Kofi Kingston out, claiming that his high-flying style lacks substance compared to Nexus's technical approach. This leads to a match where Bryan promises to show why Nexus is the true future of WWE. A physical encounter was underway, which would see Bryan methodically wear Kingston down, keeping the match grounded with punishing holds. Despite Kingston's agility and resilience, Bryan forces him to tap, making a bold statement and legitimizing Daniel Bryan as a singles competitor. Justin Gabriel and David Otunga join in on a post-match beatdown, further cementing Nexus's might. Later on in the show, Chris Jericho confronts Daniel Bryan backstage. Jericho states that Bryan is in over his head and has become blind to his own injustices. Daniel Bryan shrugs these statements off, calling Jericho a has-been. Y2J would then challenge Bryan to a title match at Night of Champions, to which Bryan would accept. In the next week's episode of Monday Night Raw, Barrett calls out top stars, claiming that only he is strong enough to take the WWE Championship. Although it is announced that the anonymous Raw GM has decided that Barrett, John Cena, and Randy Orton will compete in a triple threat to determine who will move into Night of Champions to face Sheamus. The match would take place later that evening, and it was an extremely tense atmosphere. The general manager decided that the winner of the match and whoever does not get pinned will move into a triple threat match for the WWE Championship in just over a week. All three men knew what was at stake here, and nobody was willing to give up their shot at glory without protest. In the end, John Cena would hit an FU on Randy Orton, and Wade Barrett would then capitalize and throw Cena out of the ring, creating the pin opportunity. Barrett would cover the Viper for the 3 count and secure his shot at the WWE title, but doing the same for John Cena in the process, which would create further tensions as the pay-per-view nears. The following week, the Nexus delivers a message to WWE Champion Sheamus, declaring that Wade Barrett is his next true challenger, with or without WWE's blessing. Nexus finally gets a response from Sheamus, who says he's not intimidated by Nexus and will defend his championship by any means necessary. This would lay the foundation for the main event, a tag team match between John Cena and Sheamus working together to take down Wade Barrett and Daniel Bryan. Sheamus and Cena share their own tensions between the two, but aim to put those differences aside in order to weaken the imminent threat to WWE's landscape. The match is intense, with Bryan and Barrett utilizing underhanded tactics and constant interference from Gabriel and Otunga. Cena and Sheamus rally the crowd, but Nexus's teamwork hinders their momentum. Sheamus and John Cena show signs of dissension as a crucial point of the match nears, resulting in this team breaking down, which would make way for Wade Barrett to hit a wasteland on a deserted John Cena and collect the pin, showing Barrett's readiness to challenge for the title as Nexus stands tall. Night of Champions 2010 has arrived, and the show will open with Kofi Kingston and R-Truth uniting to face 2 Nexus members, each aiming to dismantle Nexus's unity. Justin Gabriel's high-flying offense keeps R-Truth at bay, while David Otunga's strength matches Kingston's agility. No expense was spared en route to achieving victory, and after a thrilling contest, Justin Gabriel seals the victory with a 450 splash on R-Truth, kicking off the night with Nexus standing tall. The next match for Nexus features Daniel Bryan defending his United States Championship against former world champion in his own right, Chris Jericho. These two will truly be testing their in-ring prowess, as this match can only be won through making their opponent submit, something both of these guys are very comfortable doing. This match went back and forth and kept fans on the edge of their seats, as they knew that in an instant, the match could be turned upside down and someone could be forced to submit. However, neither man was going to take their opponent lightly, and a battle waged on within the squared circle. The savvy veteran that is Chris Jericho seemed to have found his opportunity to secure the match and the title, but Bryan would persevere and find out a way of the walls of Jericho. Bryan would respond by applying a crossface, and in this instance, Jericho could not formulate a way out and was forced to submit, allowing Daniel Bryan to maintain the title of United States Champion in a truly impressive performance for the Nexus member. It's time for the main event, a triple threat contest for the WWE Championship consisting of John Cena and Wade Barrett challenging Sheamus. Sheamus is intent on continuing his reign of dominance, and John Cena is eager to once again reach the top of the mountain and collect another title reign under his belt, while Wade Barrett's months of work culminate as he has finally been given the opportunity to compete for the WWE Championship. The match is brutal, with Sheamus relying on his powerful offense to keep Cena and Barrett at bay. John Cena, the multi-time world champion, used his experience and resilience to keep the match wide open, and the Nexus members even made efforts to support Barrett from ringside, creating a constant sense of unpredictability. The action never wavered in this matchup, and each competitor had a chance to deliver signature offense. Although these are 3 heavy hitters in the WWE, and no one's going to go down easily. Carnage had riddled the ring, and before long, destruction had surrounded the ring area. And despite Sheamus' best efforts, the Nexus isolated Sheamus by putting him through an announce table, allowing Barrett to land a decisive wasteland slam on John Cena in the ring, coming away with the victory and becoming the WWE Champion. This chapter cements Nexus' influence in WWE, as they now have possession of 2 championships and firm control of Monday Night Raw, and their reign of terror has just begun. If you'd like to see more of this story play out, let me know in the comments below, but that'll do it for us here for now. Thank you for watching, I'll catch you in the next video. Take it easy.